It's the PTM Annual Conference 2022. Are you ready? For 4 days, we will bring you seasoned coaches and experts from around the world to give you insight, clarity, and equip you guide your child on their journey to purpose. Wendy Ologe, a foremost parenting coach in Africa, So.as, a personal development coach for teenagers, Natalie, a holistic transformation coach and the creator of the emotion control method, Stephen Bastain, an entrepreneur, author with a passion for empowering young people, Dr. Omolola Okeowo, medical doctor and autism professional, Ochudo Ai, a certified life coach and emotional intelligence, anger management, fear mastery, and neuro-linguistic programmer with an interest in personal development and branding. Kamsi Chima, a budding entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and peer mentor with a huge appetite for learning. David Folaromi, addiction counselor, substance abuse coach, and philanthropist. Etima Omer, exceptional teen mentor, certified counselor, and responsible teens coach on a mission to raise responsible young adults. Aluashima Shapira, curriculum expert, a trained teacher, assessor, and trainer, and early childhood education guru. Ade Jones, full-time house husband, TEDx speaker, author, coach, and therapist, an expert in helping parents support their children who troubles behavior. Wind Anare, an entrepreneur that runs a system that helps young people forge a favorably financial path, amongst other things. And now, our convener and host of the PTM Annual Conference, Marybeth Chima, a leading advocate for parenting by modeling and 100% parenting support. She helps parents become true mentors and effective teachers to their children.
For more enquiries, please call 08130 621 566.
All right, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to our third session of the day. My name is Marybeth Chima. In case we are just listening for the first time, in case you're just joining us, you missed the first and second session. Please run to our YouTube channel and catch the replay as soon as you're done with this session. We had two powerful sessions with two amazing coaches. Coach Chidozie that talked about purpose and allowing or teaching your children to understand purpose, right? And then we had Atiatima, who was here to talk to us about preserving your child's innocence. All right, so we're down to our third session for the day, and we have the amazing person around that's going to be talking to us about, those emotions, those ones that we throw all over the place, those emotions that we don't know how to control. We have the right person that will be talking to you about identifying your triggers, knowing what to do with those emotions, and of course, because you have little ones, regulating so that you can teach them how to regulate. Before I bring our speaker up, I'm going to play a profile so that we understand the caliber of person that is talking to us today. Just in a minute.
Natalie is a holistic transformation coach and the creator of the emotion control method. She helps parents with big dreams for their family, their career, and their life overall find the balance they are seeking in their lives by guiding them to the process and manage their trigger-add emotions productively. She is an experienced and highly sought-after practitioner in health and wellness for the past 15 years and has coached hundreds of private clients across the fitness and wellness niche, in person and online from many continents. As an entrepreneur, yogi, and a homeschool mom of 3 boys, she is living and understands a parent's daily struggles. Natalie is certified in rapid transformational therapy by UK1 therapist Marybeth, certified forest yoga teacher by Anna Forrest, critics of forest yoga, and is a certified Huna energy practitioner based on the ancient Hawaiian shamanism. She is currently training in compassionate inquiry with the renowned Dr. Gabor Mate.
Hello, ma'am. It's good to have you.
Hello, Marybeth. It's nice to be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for honoring us. You know, there's the time difference, first of all, the fact that you have other things that you could have been doing right now. And then yet in all of this, you agreed to come and be a part of, our community and helping parents learn more about how they can make the best of their parenting. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Natalie. Okay, I was just telling the parents after our last session that you're not just this person that is big on emotions and controlling their emotions. You are also a homeschooling parent, meaning you are schooling your children. So we know what it takes as a parent to be in control of your emotions in the first place, just to have the children at home for half part of the day after they've been with their teachers. And then we know what it is, the extra thing, that comes with having boys, 3 boys. And then having to be with them most of the day because, hey, school is home. Home is school. Everything is the same space, right? So, so I told them to come for, it's a double dose. It's the real deal. It's the real deal. So I'm going to start, okay? So, guys, our session with Natalie is going to be an interview kind of session because I want you guys to be involved. So I'm going to be reading your comments, as we go. We're going to be asking her questions. So get ready, not just with your pad, okay, but also get ready with your questions. Put them in the comments. Like, don't wait to the end of this session. Just put them in the comments because at some point I will throw them up, so that she can answer them. So I'm going to ask you your first question. I have a few questions here that we've written down. So we're going to ask you the first question. And it goes this way. Why do parents get triggered often by their children's attitudes and behavior? I mean, we love these children. We say we love them and all of that. So how come they still get under our skin and still get us like all over the place? Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, it has everything to do with our expectations at the end of the day. So you just mentioned I homeschool my kids, and for me, that journey of trigger like really exploded when I started homeschooling my kids because I had a certain expectation. So whatever expectation we have as parents of how, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
About what we're expecting from them, how they should behave, what they should be doing, what they should not be doing. When they do not meet the expectations we have, this is what triggers us the most. Because in that moment when that expectation is not met, we make it mean something. And what we make it means are based on beliefs that we have. And we all know that our beliefs are not just forming now, but beliefs have been formed years past, especially the first set of beliefs that's been formed happens the first 7 years of our lives. So a lot of us beliefs may have, worked for us when we were little, but now as a parent, 20, 30, 40 years later in life, those beliefs are not working. And so this is where there's a disconnect. It's what we're believing, what we're expecting from our kids, and then what our children actually need. And so their behaviors usually are just a call for parents to meet their needs. So a misbehavior, for example, is a lot of small children who do not have language will misbehave by screaming or hitting, yelling, whatever it is that annoys us or frustrates us, the child is actually wanting us to meet their needs and they do not know how to say it. They do not know how to get it across to us. And now we suddenly take it as, okay, like you're not listening to me, you're not doing what I want you to do, therefore you're not respecting me. So here the belief comes, you're not respecting me. And if you're not respecting me, then what am I doing here that is not right? And we start taking on the, questioning ourselves as a parent. And that never feels good, right? When we start, I know you've been there, Marybeth, is when we start questioning our ability to parent our child and we're doubting, it never feels good.
Yeah. And the sad thing is when we start questioning our parenting, and because we don't really get answers, because at the point you're doing the questioning, you're not being objective. So what
That's
happens is we end up taking it on the children, right? We end up, taking all that, the inadequacies that we feel, we take it out on the children, and that's what leads to all the chaos and all the all the trouble and grouse that we have in our home. So how do we, let's talk about some of these triggers. Let's talk about some of these triggers, since we're trying to be as hands-on and as practical as possible with the people. I know you work with parents,
yes.
a lot and all of that. So what are the common triggers that you hear? Because sometimes people think because we're from different
Cultures.
cultures, different countries, and all of that. We want to think that it's probably different. So let's hear some of the ones that you deal with, so that we can see if it's the same thing that we're dealing with, in this part of the world. All right.
Yeah, it's all about when I've told my kids for the fifth time to do something and they don't do it.
Okay.
Right?
So yes,
When
that's number one. We have the same here. All right.
when I told them to go do their homework and then they didn't do it. Right?
Okay.
Right. And I taught them how to clean their space, their room, and
You
they
still don't.
things are all over the place, no matter how many times I tell them. So those are really common triggers, or video games when they are on their screen all the time. That's a big trigger. I know that is a big trigger for me, and I'm sure it is a big trigger for a lot of parents. And maybe I don't know where you are, Marybeth, in Nigeria, that kids maybe are not as exposed to all the devices and the video games. But here it is a big problem in Canada, and I know in North America.
Her parents are just saying here. For her, I'm sure she's talking about some of her triggers when they start fussing and snapping and screaming and yelling, name calling, and all of that. So I guess for these parents, this is it. Once this begins to happen, that's it. I've had enough.
Yes.
I've had enough. As soon as it gets to this point, and we all know how how this can destabilize you as a parent, how this can actually lead to overwhelm, because hey, you're dealing with money issues, you're dealing with work, you're dealing with your partner, your husband, you're dealing with all of that. And then on top of that, you now have two, one, three, four little children that you're expecting that you can just say, sit down. And they sit down, and here you are saying, sit down 5 times, 4 times, because the way it's going, it seems like we all have, the same problem. So it simply means, or the same challenges rather.
Yes.
So it simply means that parenting is universal. It's not a race thing. It's not a culture thing. We all have to deal with children and all of that. So let me ask Natalie, could it be that there is some knowledge that we need to get about children and what to expect from children? Because from what you said at the beginning, it's part of the beliefs that we have is from how we were raised, where we're coming from, what we know. Now, all of a sudden, we're raising children in a different time, right? We're raising children in a different time. And of course, we can't even remember what we were like when we were 3 and 4. Now we're trying to use our adult perspective to understand what's going on in the mind of a 2 or 3-year-old. So what do we do as parents to bring ourselves to that space where we can understand or have an idea of what's going on in the mind of a toddler, of a preteen, a child, or even our teenagers?
Yes. So one thing I want to start with is because what I'm going to say may come across as may be mistaken, but so I want to be clear that at the end of the day, I know that every parent wants their best for their children. 99% of parents are doing their best to their best ability that they know how, right? So that I know. And it is challenging. I go through it too. A lot of parents go through it. So that said, now, our children, as a parent, our role as a parent is to meet our children's needs, right? That's why being a parent is a privilege. When we are given that ability to bring life into the world and to raise children, it's a privilege.
Yes,
and
it is.
when we are given that privilege, that comes responsibility, of course. Right? We didn't think like it wouldn't come with responsibility, that we wouldn't like magically they're going to grow up and we wouldn't have to deal with the parenting part of it. Now our children's needs, they're dependent on us. Children's need attachment. They need the parent to protect them, to keep them safe, to love them, to comfort them, to validate them. So they know that, like look at a baby, for instance. When a baby is born, does a baby question its worth? Or the baby knows that you should be feeding me, you should be taking care of me, I'm deserving of this 24-hour care, right? And so that a baby knows. But along the way, as a child grows up, there's something that happens. There's a kind of a disconnect. And that happens because of how the adults respond to the child. Right? So, like, say, for example, connection, and somebody was asking me a question this morning about connection, how important that is. A baby, if you do not look at a baby, you stop looking at a baby, you break connection with that baby. That baby can feel it.
Wow.
And that baby will question, okay, why is mom not looking at me right now? Why is mom not paying attention to me? Right? So a child needs the parent. And when we are not able to meet their needs, which is we are human, we're not going to be able to do it 100% of the time. That's a given as well. But when it happens over time, then the need is not being met today. It's not being met in 2 days. It's not being met in a week. It's not being met in 2 weeks, months. Well, at a certain point, that child, in order to survive, will do whatever he or she can to get their needs met.
Wow.
And a child will watch, right? So that's how children from 0 to 7 learn how to do anything, by watching how we respond to them. So it's important, like when the child is watching how we're responding to them, they are understanding, like, okay, if I scream and yell, that gets immediate attention from mom or dad, right? So now if my needs need to be met, I need to be really loud for them to give me the attention, right? Or if I do something bad, That's how they're going to give me attention. Does that make sense? Like, and that's why children will kick, yell, scream
Yeah.
in order to get our attention. And now, as a parent, if we're tired, like you explained, if we have a lot of things on the go and we're not taking care of ourselves, we're kind of depleted. Well, guess what? You may be busy, and then the child decided, today's the day I'm going to really do whatever it's in my possession to get the attention. And they start screaming or yelling, and then you get upset. Now you've come down to that level with them. Suddenly you're also like, I don't know, some of us may be punishing them in a way, and now suddenly the child doesn't get what he or she is wanting at all, and that will continue. So it's important to realize that when the child is misbehaving, that we pause and ask ourselves, what is it that the child needs right now? Right? Let's try something. Is it attention that they want us to play with them so they connect with us? Is it that they're tired, they need a nap? Is it that they don't feel safe because they just started school and they are not understanding what is happening, and we need to spend some time to reassure them that it's okay to feel like that? So it could be different things. So by slowing down and really just, you can just be with a child and say, okay, I get it. You're not happy. And then let it sit in and see the child and their emotions and their reactions, but do not make it wrong. Like they need to stop it, because if they could stop it, they would. It's because they're overwhelmed. That's why they can't. I don't know if that is clear right now, what I'm explaining, like with regards to the children's behaviors. Right?
Yes, it's clear.
So now when we are triggered as adults, so the child is doing something, suddenly we are having a strong reaction. Okay? That strong reaction that we're having, it's not about the present moment. That's another thing to understand. A trigger that is happening in the moment, it's like a gun, right? There's a trigger. So the trigger is a very small thing. What comes out when we're triggered is usually like a big reaction, right? Either we scream, we yell, or whatever we do. That emotion is from the past. It's not from the present, because our emotion reminds us of, it's being reminded of something that has happened in the past that was painful to us. So when we're triggered, all that trigger is doing is reminding us of something that is still not resolved for us. And that takes us all the way back to the past. And a lot of times of working with a lot of parents, it takes us back to when we were children. So, for instance, there are certain things, I'm sure, Marybeth, that that really triggers you when your child does something. And it's most of us, it's the same kind of thing that triggers, right? So, for example, when the child is not listening, that's a big trigger for most of us. When that is happening, it's reminding us of perhaps when we were little and nobody was listening to us. And that is a painful memory for us. And that's the wound that's reopening in that moment of trigger. So that's something to understand about ourselves. When we're triggered, it's not about what is happening now. It's touching on the wound that is reopening. The wound hasn't fully healed. It's like, when you have a cut on your hand, and somebody brush against it, how are you going to react? Right? It's going to be very painful.
Yeah.
Because it's still open. And so the trigger is the same thing. And then the emotion that comes up is that same painful emotion that we've experienced in the past. So this is, in a nutshell, what is a trigger? And another way I can explain it to you is when you have an orange and you squeeze it, what do you get when you squeeze an orange?
Juice.
What kind of juice?
Sweet juice.
But do you get, what is it, orange juice or do you get apple juice?
Oh, orange juice, definitely.
Orange juice, right? So you never get apple juice, you'll never get pineapple juice
Out of an orange juice.
right? From an orange. So the same thing, when we are being squeezed, what comes out of us? If it's anger, the anger was already there, right? So what is coming up was already inside of us. Your child did not create that. Yes, it reminded you of that, but your child did not create it.
Wow. Wow. Natalie, from what you're saying, right, I am just, I am just thinking, it simply means that as parents, right, a lot of us have unresolved trauma, unresolved issues, things that we picked up from our childhood that we don't even know exists. Okay,
Yes.
and especially if you are not someone who has bothered to, stay calm or take time to, try to visit, go back where you're coming from, go back, memory lane to see, some of the traumas or some of the things that you went through and the pain that it must have cost you that you were not able to resolve. So I absolutely understand what you're saying when you say it's unresolved issues, and the orange analogy is just there's no better way you could have put it, because really, no matter how the child squeezes you, it's
Yes.
what you have inside. It's how you know how to respond to this kind of situation. That's the only thing that you will bring out, is the skill you have that you will use to deal with a situation that requires, that kind of skill. Wow.
Yeah, and
That's like,
the
yeah,
skill that we have is a learned skill. So we've
yeah.
learned this, we've watched others do it, and we've learned it. But
Indeed.
that's a good news, because if we've learned it, we can unlearn it and we can learn something else.
Better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So it simply means, right, it simply means that it is important that we are able to identify what our triggers are, right? It's very important. So tell us, how important is it for you to identify your triggers, and what do you do with them when you identify them?
So it's very important that we identify them when it's happening. Like, at the beginning, you may already know what are your triggers, right? When it happens, right? So for me, for example, when I started working with it is when I would sit down and go through the schooling, right? And if my kids did not complete something, I would get upset. So understanding, okay, what are the scenarios that comes up all the time for you when you get triggered? And you're getting triggered because you're calm a moment, and within a matter of seconds and minutes, you flip,
Wow.
right? You're
Yeah.
no longer calm. You've lost it. So that tells you that's a trigger, and that's how you can identify when you get triggered. Is one of those moments that instantly flip you from being calm to being so angry and upset. Because once you know, okay, those are the circumstances that can trigger me, then you start paying attention. Because when you go into those circumstances, your body will tell you That's the first way you know is your body will start to respond, right? So the mind and the body are all connected. So for instance, some people get really warm when they're starting to get triggered, or their jaw starts to tighten up, right? And they start raising their voice. That's, it's telling you in that moment, okay, you are triggered, your body is giving you the sign. And that's the moment that you need to take a break.
Yeah.
Okay, at the
somebody
beginning,
said somebody said she calls it the bipolar moment.
yes, that tells you need to take a break. So whatever you're doing, if your kids are very small, make sure they're safe or leave them with somebody. If they're older, you can just say, I need to go to the bathroom, take a break from it. Because that's how you will stop yourself from escalating,
Yeah.
right? You can take some deep breaths and you're like asking yourself, okay, what is it that I'm feeling right now? So for example, if I'm angry, you say, yeah, I'm very angry. A lot of time just by naming the emotion, the emotion starts to be tamed. It starts to lessen. It doesn't have as much power over you. So we have a little window of opportunity where we can always, as we become aware of that trigger, and when it's starting to happen, we can stop it and change our response to it.
Right.
So that's what it's important. And to know that, if you can remember that it's not about your child when you're triggered. It's not about your husband when you're triggered. It's reminding you of something deeper, something from yourself, like I mentioned before, that needs to be addressed, and you have to address it with yourself. Nobody can, a lot of us, and I know I've been there, and say, oh, if my child could just be different, or my husband could just respond to me differently, then I would feel so much better. But then we become victims because then we have to wait on them. And if I ask, parents, how long can you wait before you lose it, right? If you had to wait and wait and wait and wait, it doesn't help. So
Yeah.
instead, taking matters in your own hands and inquiring into what is it that this is showing me right now within myself, right? And that's why working with the body is important, so that we can feel what's going on in our bodies. We can become more aware as well. We can start to feel what's going on. We can notice that certain words or certain gestures from others affects us. So that's the level of awareness we want to get to, that will allow us then to take care of ourselves in those moments.
So it simply means that, you know, for you to be able to come to that place where you can begin to manage, because what you're saying now is actually my next question. You've already dealt with it. How you can manage those, triggers, manage those emotions, what you can do to put them in control. And for what you're saying, it's not everyone, it doesn't come to you easily, especially if you've had all this unresolved issues, what you've learned, over the years and all of that. So it means that you have to make the efforts. There are certain things that you would have to learn, certain skills that you would have to learn. And one of it is being able to name your triggers or name your emotions, basically. You're able to name how you're feeling at a particular time. You're able to control yourself enough to remove yourself from the situation, isn't it? because you talked
Yes.
about, you can feel that it's coming, it's raging inside, and you were like, okay, who can be with them just to make sure they're safe? And then you just go and you inhale and exhale, something like that, basically. And then you talked about, of course, all of these other things that you can do that allows you become in tune with yourself, so much so that you can understand yourself as a human being and how the emotions that you are dealing with. Now, let me now ask this question. How do you now begin to help your children manage their own emotions? Now, let's assume that you're the parent that has had to deal with all of this troubled emotions and all of that. And you begin to learn, because, of course, if your emotions are all over the place, that's the only thing your children will also know. And then the cycle will continue. So, we are assuming you're this parent. I mean, after this session, we will all be this parents. This parent that you're talking about that has decided, okay, now I understand my triggers. I want to look into those triggers, and then I want to start unlearning. How do you now help your children? Why is it important that you help your children also manage their emotions?
Yeah, because I like I mentioned, children mirror us, right? Whatever you see how your children is responding, they've learned it from the adults in the environment they're in. Children learn by watching, they absorb it, and that's how they like, okay, this is how we need to respond, this is how we need to behave, this is what we do when something happens. So children learn from us. And so this is where this journey is fascinating, Marybeth, is that whatever we want for our children, if we start doing it for ourselves, and by helping ourselves, we're going to help them, because they are watching from us, they're watching us and learning from us. So whatever we do, they are going to copy that, especially when they are very young. They will copy it. And you'll see that when you're learning that for yourself, you will understand your child better. If, say, for example, I'm taking the time now to understand how my mind works, what are the beliefs that are there that needs to be changed. And I start to do that. And now I can manage how I feel better. Your child will also feel better, because just because you feel better, because children feed on our own emotions. When the environment is chaotic with parents, the children feel the chaos, and then they will respond with chaos as well. Right? They may not understand what's going on with you, but they can feel it. So if you're seeing that reflection, and that's sometimes it's triggering, because we're seeing what's happening with our children, it's frustrating, but they are actually reflecting to us what's going on within us. And so it's how we help them is by helping ourselves.
Wow.
Right? At the end of the day, we are here to guide them, and the best way to guide them is by being an example. You know that already is like, parents have to be an example to their children. We can't say to the children, like a few years ago, when COVID hit and everybody was in lockdown. So I have 3 boys, as you mentioned, and they stopped their sports. They can go swimming. So there was a lot of extra energy in the house. And I'm like, why can't you just go and run around the block and burn some of that? And they wouldn't want to go by themselves. So it dawned on me that until I go out with them, they're not going to do it. So then I had to set the example. So then I started taking them out for a quick run in the morning. And then they came with me, right? So we can't tell our children, eat your vegetables when we are not eating our vegetables.
Mm.
They're going to ask, as they become older, I'm sure if you have teenagers, they'll say to you, well, how come you're not doing it? You're telling me to do this, and how come you're not doing it, right? So that is it. You need to lead by example.
Beautiful, amazing, amazing, amazing. Simply put, the best way to teach your children about emotional regulation, to teach your children about managing their emotions, their triggers, is that first of all, you learn for yourself, you begin to apply this. And I like the fact that you said that our children actually feed off our energy, basically. If you are happy, your children will be happy. That's very practical. It is so, so true. When you're happy, your children are happy. When the energy in your home is not right, it doesn't matter how excited the children are. With time, it actually, your energy will douse theirs. Because, first of all, you will probably be yelling that they are having a good time and jumping all around the place because you are feeling, you're not in that space and all of that. So, very key that the first thing to do is understand your triggers, understand how to manage your emotions. Begin to do that, and you will see it trickle down to your children, and you will see them do the same thing. Thank you so much. Okay, we have a few minutes to go before we take questions. Could you kindly share one or two of the experiences that you have with the parents that you work with, and then please share some tips with us on how we can do this emotional regulation, calm, trigger mastery, and all of that, please.
Yeah, how I work with parents is, first of all, uncovering those beliefs that are causing those triggers. And because this work, it doesn't have to take a long period of time. If you dedicate a few months to it, you will have such a better understanding of yourself. So, understanding your beliefs, understanding the programming. And the good news is we can change beliefs, we can change the programming that was set. Just like your smartphone, how many times does it ask you to update it, right? And if you don't update it, you know what happens to your phone. Same thing with our mind. We need to update the mind with the beliefs that's going to help us be the kind of parents we want to be. So that's the first part of the work. And then to work with, like what I mentioned before, is recognizing what are causing the triggers, what are those situations, what are those those habit trigger loop, understanding what is the loop so that you know it really well, so you can catch it when it's happening. Right? So with time, at the beginning, you may catch it afterwards, which is okay. This is how we learn. And then the more we practice it, just like anything else, we will start to catch ourselves in the moment of trigger or the moments leading to the trigger. And then we are able to change our response because we understand why we're triggered, because we've already uncovered that when we were uncovering those beliefs. And then we can reframe that in the moment, right? It's like a language. The emotions, the triggers, it's a language that you learn for yourself, how your body express that language. And the more you know the language, the more you're able to respond to it in a productive way rather than reacting to it, which what we've learned from the past, just to react, and then we didn't know what else to do. But now it's learning how to become more response able. You're able to respond to any situation that happens in your day-to-day life. And that's in a nutshell how I help parents. I've helped parents become aware of, like, when your child is, not behaving, that they know, okay, I need to attend to the child. I need to be there, because when I do that, and I spend 5-10 minutes with my child, it prevents their own emotion from escalating. Instead of having a full-blown tantrum, it's just, yes, I recognize that there are some emotions that are experienced. I stay there with them. I hold them. I let them be seen, be heard, be understood, and then they've calmed down. And that's possible, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Were you saying something else?
No,
Were you
and
gonna say- Okay.
all I'm going to say is the tips is be curious. At the end of the day, be curious about yourself, be curious about your child.
Wow.
And know that all your child wants is your attention, your love. The child wants to be seen, to be heard, to be understood by you, their parents, whom, they want to be attached to. And so that's important to know, and connecting with that truth with it that's in all of us. What feels true? And that's something, if we can tap in, then we know, okay, that feels right. And that's what my child needs right now.
Wow. Wow.
Right?
Okay, so we have a question on the screen. Thank you so much, Natalie. We have a question we're taking questions now. Please, if you have any questions, do write them in the comments, okay? And also screenshots, okay? Take some screenshots and share on your social media platform. Okay, let people know that you're getting value from the sessions at this conference. Tag us in your posts. Okay, tag the mentor parent support of the parenting through mentorship, right? Just tag us in your post and all of that. Talk to your friends about this conference and invite them to join. It is a social responsibility that you help other people learn how to be better parents. Okay, so if you have any questions, please put them in the comments and we will share them on the screen before Natalie leaves. Okay, so we have one and it says, how do you deal with a toddler that won't stop crying? He's not ill, he's not sick or anything, but just cries non-stop. How do you deal with this kind of toddler?
Yeah, so if a toddler is crying, first of all, he or she is crying for a reason. So the first thing you can do is, even if you don't know why he or she is crying, one thing is, as parents, just like animals, have instinct, right? We have our gut instinct. So we can feel their pain. Our gut instinct tells us they are in pain. So first thing is to emotionally be there for them, right? I know you're a busy parent, but just to hold them and say, I get it. You're crying. There's something that's upsetting. I get it. And the toddler may not have the language, but they can feel already that, you as a parent, again, they'll feel your energy. And if your energy is calm and as a parent that he or she will be okay, that's what you want them to know. Okay, so I get it. You're in pain right now, but you're going to be okay. So that's the first thing you can do, and then see what happens if they start to calm down. And then you can inquire into what is upsetting right now. And if they can tell you or point to you, or even drawing, if they don't have language, you can ask them to draw. Okay. And through drawing, a lot of times kids can express themselves better. So, and then you start to inquire, what is it that's causing this sudden, the cry that won't stop? Maybe they're not feeling safe for whatever reason, right? Maybe they're feeling, that you're not connecting with them, and it's creating this fear in them, right? Just like when kids, if you drop them at school and they cry, because there's a fear that you won't come back, that they may be getting abandoned, and you want to take care of that and reassure them that, no, I'm coming back. So I don't know the whole situation, but yes, I would first Take care of yourself, and from a calm, loving place, attend and hold that child, and let the child know that you understand what they're feeling, even if you don't know what's causing the feeling, first of all.
Amazing. I mean, from what you're saying, there's so many reasons why a child would cry, especially as toddlers, right? As young children. There's so many reasons, and some of them can be the strangest reasons that you're not even thinking of. Who would think that a child would not understand? I mean, who takes their children to school and don't go back to pick them? Right? So because
Yes.
we're adults, and from our adult perspective, no, you can't take a child and abandon them in school. We expect that naturally you should know I'll come back for you. But hey, our children are not wired that way. They don't have that ability at the time
Yeah,
to
because
figure out.
the child's brain is still
Yes.
developing. A child's brain doesn't get fully developed until they're in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
So they can't comprehend things that we comprehend as adults.
Yes.
And that's
So a lot
why,
of times, yeah, a lot of times we're the ones that would have to teach them how to use language. I mean, I like the part where you said sometimes you just allow them draw, their feeling and all of that. When you're doing all of this, you're actually equipping the child with language. You're equipping the child with ways that they can express themselves. One of our speakers said something, that one of the ways to help your children live wholesome life, to help them live purpose, is to teach them to be good communicators. So it's
yes,
important that you teach your children how to communicate. And being assertive actually requires that you're able to think, you're able to write your thoughts, and you're able to deliver that thought, right? You're able to deliver that thought. That's what makes you assertive as a person, basically. So, and it starts from when they are little, giving them those paper to just scribble, try to draw those faces, how you're feeling. You are equipping the child, and you might just be the reason why your 18-year-old understands their trigger, is able to identify their emotions, because hey, you started teaching them how to do this right from when they are little. All right, someone said, I think you've answered that, but she said, what is the best way to control these emotions? I guess the ones that well up when you're children and having one negative behavior or the other.
yes.
It's really about that.
So you first of all, emotions, it's energy in motion, right? It's an energy that's trapped inside that needs to be expressed. And a lot of times as parents, we ourselves do not allow ourselves to feel the emotions and to express them. We actually suppress emotions, right? Either it's a learned behavior again, that most of us are taught that it's bad to express how we're feeling. And so when we have this flood of emotion, it's because a lot of time we've repressed these emotions for a long time. And then boom, something happens and everything comes out. Right. So then it's important to every day check in with yourself and see how you're feeling. And you can just take a piece of paper and write down at the end of your day, for example, how you felt. Write down like 3 to 5 emotions that you experienced. I felt happy today when my friend came to visit. I felt sad today when I learned about, this person getting hurt. I felt really angry today when my husband did this, right? So that allows you to express these emotions, but in a constructive way, and acknowledging how you're feeling, right? It's when we don't acknowledge and we just push through and we want to like push those emotions down, that it becomes a bigger problem when we can't control it. So learning how to do that is a first step. And then it also allows you to name the emotion as you're writing it. So that's what I would recommend at the beginning.
That's a great tool there you just gave out. That's a great tool you just gave out there. Having, imagine, it's huge being being a parent who is
Mhm.
intentional. All those tools are available to us. It's just that we don't come out, to learn about them, and we don't apply them, because that's a huge tool. Just having the children, let's say at the end of the day, everybody, before you had dinner, and then you've had a family time, and then during that family time, you just say, okay, everyone, let's grab our journal. Can you write down 5 emotions that you went through today? Do you know
Mhm.
how empowering that can be? Parents,
Yes.
mentor parents, are you here? Are you listening? I have just given you, Natalie has just given you one more activity that you can add to your everyday activity. I am taking it. We are applying it straight up. At the end of the day, just, after playing those games or whatever you're doing to relax in the evening, you just grab all your journals or whatever, and you're like, okay, let's do our 5 emotions for the day. So that way you allow them you allow reflection skills. They begin to learn how to reflect. They begin to learn how to evaluate themselves. They begin to learn how to review what their day was. Imagine a child that's got to do this right from when they're 6.
Yes.
Tell me how this child will be 25 and won't be able to actually stop and do that, self-assessment and all of that. Amazing, amazing, amazing
And
tool.
also it promotes communication as they get older, they can
Yes.
express and say, today I felt sad when my brother hit me. And then we
Mm,
can open the conversation among the siblings and let them
yeah.
express. And so then we can also teach our kids to listen to how others are perceiving things when we do something that we maybe had no intention of doing. That
Yeah.
wasn't done on purpose. Yeah.
Exactly. Someone said here that when my husband is triggered, he's about to blow out on the children, he excuses himself and runs to the store, leaving me alone. That could be selfish, but man, that is someone trying to deal with his trigger.
Yes, yeah.
Well
Instead of
done.
exploding, he is like, okay, I need to go out. And that's at the beginning, you have to do it this way. You have to interrupt it, you have to remove yourself. And with time, you'll be able to stay there and manage it.
Okay, so Natalie, we're going to ask you. Someone is asking, how can they reach you? How can they follow you? Can you share with us some of your handle, and then we'll ask you one last question before we run. We allow you go. Okay, can you share some of your handles and whatever it is that you have out there that we can resources that you have out there that we can connect with?
Yes, I have a group on Facebook I just started called Calm Parenting. Or you can send me a friend request on Facebook, Natalie Lefebvre. It's just my full name. And my website also is natalielefebvre.com.
Okay.
So,
Natalie's so helpful. She's so approachable. As in, she's so approachable. It was just from the group, just from the
yes,
PTM group that I approached Natalie. Like, hey Natalie, because she posted, if you're in the group, you must have noticed her post here and there. And I'm like, oh, she has so much in there, in this emotional thing. You can practically feel it from her text, basically. And I'm like, we approached Natalie, and you're just ready to come here and do this with us. Thank you so much, Natalie. We do not take this for granted. Now, this homeschool thing, we want to ask you just one question. Someone said here earlier that she tried homeschooling during the pandemic, and man, it wasn't easy at all. So I guess as soon as the lockdown was over, she just bunched everybody and like, no, 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 no. Everybody go back to school. We're good. We're good.
yes.
Please, if you're feeling this session, let's see the emojis. Please, let's see your emojis in the group. Please, let people know that those of them that did not show up here missed. Please, let the emoji come up. Let them come up, please. So, how do you how do you manage? Can you tell us, like, briefly, a typical day, in homeschool? Can you tell us your typical day, so that those of us who want to pick here and there and apply in our partial homeschooling system at home can take one or two things?
Yeah, so to the parent who tried homeschooling, and I totally resonate with you. So many times I wanted to give up too. So you're not the only one. So a typical days, Marybeth, I found like for me to have the energy to homeschool, to run my business, and to do all the other things to serve my clients is by taking time for myself. So, first thing in the morning, I'm an early riser. I do my own practices so that I have the strength and the energy and I can stay more grounded throughout my day. So that's how my day starts. And then I mentioned earlier, we kept that same practice. I take my boys out for a run in the morning because they're boys. And what my husband told me is that their testosterone level for men and boys, they are at the highest in the morning. So burning some of that energy helps. So then I take them out, we come home, they have their breakfast, and then we start the day. So my older one is a teenager. He's actually doing some online courses, so I don't have to be as hands-on. And then I start with the younger ones and I go through the lessons, but they're very independent and I've trained them for this reason so that they can start doing their own work by themselves and come to me when they have questions. Because if I happen to have a client, then I can't always be there, but they are still able to do their work. So, yeah, so usually my younger one is in grade 3 and my middle one is in grade 6. The older one is in grade 9. So by typically for the two younger ones, they are done by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then they have the rest of the day to explore whatever interests them. Read books, they can play. I do not do video games throughout the week. That's only for the weekend. So during the week, they do some other activities. My middle one really likes computers. So he likes to do art on the computer. So he does that. So it's, I give them the ability to explore what they want to learn in the afternoon. Yeah, and they help out around the house. They all have the things they have to do. They contribute. Often, what I'm learning, even about the mind, I suggest that to them. I say, do you want to learn about the mind? Watch this video. And they are learning at the same time that I'm learning as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So what I hear from what you're saying is there is a place of exercise and all of that, exerting your energy, using your energy positively and all of that. There is a place of a good meal in the morning after all of that. You have bad whatever, and then you have a good meal. And then there is some sort of structural learning that is done independently.
Yes.
Right, because as a parent, you can't be there for them all the time. I remember I was studying Elon Musk's. I think it was Elon. Was it Elon Musk? I think it was Elon Musk. Was it Elon Musk? Yeah, I think so.
I think
and
so.
The mom actually said how the same thing you're saying now. How she would have them work. She would have them work independently because she's got clients to attend to and all of that, but she's there with them. But it didn't mean that she totally, neglected her life just to sit down with them every moment. So contrary to what people think, children who are homeschooled actually turn out very independent, because what happens in regular school is there's a lot of guidance and a lot of instructions and all of that. So sometimes our children are not even allowed to explore, and all of that. And then I like the part that you said, after they're done learning, they have the whole afternoon to explore. So meaning that exploration is going to be through things that they like to do or things that they are interested in. So there is the place of exploration and problem solving. Now, parents, what Natalie's saying is we don't all have to homeschool if it's not our thing. But hey, you can borrow from some of these strategy that she uses, or some of these methods that she uses, and use it to help our children. They go to school, that could be your structural learning. When they come back, they can't bury themselves in all those work and homework the whole time. Let them explore. How would they use what they've learned if they are not using it in context and exploring with it? Thank you so much, Natalie. We've kept you for an extra.
That's okay, Marybeth. That was my pleasure.
Thank you so much. I have learned so much. And this is what I always do. I would tweak, and I would add it to my system. And I think the parents here are going to do the same. I saw someone say something like, I am doing it right away. We start today. Thank you so much. We've been
Marybeth, I would like to share a poem, if it's okay with you.
Oh, beautiful, please.
Because this poem actually really changed my view of what a parent's role is. And it's from the poet Khalil Gibran.
Okay.
And it goes like this. Is that okay if I share it?
Sure, please.
So it says, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you so much. It's such a deep poem. My God.
It is, yes.
But it's so real. It holds too much fact, too much truth. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Marybeth, and thank you for everyone in Nigeria or in Africa, wherever you're watching from. It's from all over the world. It's been such a pleasure, and I'm very grateful.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you're catching the replay, please follow Natalie. If you're here, please run and go and follow Natalie right now. Thank you so much, ma'am. Namaste.
Namaste, Marybeth, and all the best for the rest of the conference.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's been an amazing session. We gleaned so much knowledge. Thank you so much. All right, ma'am.
Everyone.
Have a lovely evening. All right, people. So that is it for today. Day one done and dusted. Please go ahead and share about these in your social media platform. Please share about the knowledge that you're getting here. Remember, it is a social responsibility. It is humane that you help another parent become a better parent. I always say this: if you're doing this for your children alone and the people in your circle are not doing the same thing, you are going to sabotage your own work, because everybody needs support. And at some point, you will depend on your sister, your brother, your mother, your siblings. You would depend on your neighbor, your colleague. You would depend on the school. Your children have friends that are in their faces every day, and they spend long hours with these people. If these people are not gleaning the same kind of knowledge you're gleaning, if they are not learning from the same table that you're learning, then you will sabotage your own journey and all the effort that you're making. So let as many people as possible join in this movement. All right, so share our social media handle, invite people here. This conference is free. It's not because everything here is easy. It's because people have put themselves, their time into this. I want to say thank you, a special thank you to my assistant. She has been amazing. Christabel, thank you so much. The volunteer, those who volunteered, we have a group of volunteers. They have been amazing. If I tell you what these people have done, I've never received this kind of support ever since I got on this page. This space. There are times I've had a lot of people volunteer and we couldn't even even do half of what these people, not too many of them are doing. I mean, I've sat down and people have sent special graphics to me. I've sat down and people have made videos and they've sent for us. I've sat down and people have gone out of their ways to do so much just so that we can bring this to you. I don't even want to talk about the sacrifice that the speakers have made. All of this is coming to you for free because some people have paid the price. The least you can do is share about this, appreciate them, follow them, and then let more people know about what we do here. Thank you very much, everyone. We will be right back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. I think we will have the announcements in the group, in your emails, and in the support groups. Okay, thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of the day. Bye.